Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to do a video on my top 5 favorite books of all time. Now these are bound to change as time goes on. I hope they change because if your top 5 is changing over time, that means you're reading good stuff. So I'm hoping this changes actually. But as it stands now, these are my top 5. Now I'm going to go through them and talk about them briefly. I don't plan to get into any spoilers, so this is going to be a spoiler-free video. And yeah, this is throughout my whole life leading up to now what my top 5 favorite novels are, or books. I say novels because they all turn out to be novels. So uh, let's just get started. So number 5, my 5th favorite novel of all time is Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. So I love the entire Lord of the Rings series, but specifically I like The Fellowship of the Ring. I always have kind of a affinity for first novels in uh, any series, fantasy or any kind of series. I love the introduction to fictional worlds, and The Fellowship of the Ring just has kind of a mystical kind of feeling to it when you're first introduced to Middle Earth. I love the scenes. First of all, in the Shire, you see a lot of stuff in the Shire at the beginning, and just the journey of the first book is amazing as they kind of kick off their quest. Many of us know the Lord of the Rings storylines already, so but in case you haven't read it, I won't go into too much about what happens in the first book, but just the stuff with the kind of as things start to get rolling with the ring and the mystery around almost dropped my mic there. Uh Around the mystery of the ring, I find that stuff interesting at the beginning. When things just don't seem quite right, and then Frodo um is just whisked off into this adventure and you're wondering what comes next. I think Tolkien did a very good job with the whole series, certainly, but with the beginning, it just pulled me in instantly. And yeah, the first book to me is the best among them. Um, but that's just my personal opinion. But yeah, that's my fifth favorite novel of all time. So now let's get into number 4. Number 4 is also a fantasy novel. Um, I don't know if you can consider it a classic at this point in the genre. I mean, it kind of almost feels like a classic, even though it's not that old. Of course, I'm talking about A Storm of Swords by George R.R. Martin. Now, this is obviously part of the famous A Song of Ice and Fire, which was turned into the show Game of Thrones. Um, and this is the third book in the series. Uh, this is like George R.R. Martin at his peak. Like the amount of culminations of storylines that come out in this book from the first 2 books, it's just like amazing. Like this, I think it's over 1,000 pages. Let's see, yeah, it's about 1,130 pages, and it's just like not a dull moment at all in this book. Um, this book has the famous red wedding scene in it, which um, I won't say what that's all about because if you haven't read it, uh, you'll know exactly what I mean when you get there. But yeah, it's just an amazing book, a wild ride, and like I said, the culmination of the first 2 books leads up to the events of this book, and it pays off in an amazing way, and then leads into the next 2 books. And then, yeah, we all know now that it's been a long wait since the 5th book for the next book, and we're still waiting, but amazing book. Yeah, Storm of Swords, highly recommended. Okay, number 3. This is a classic of Russian literature, one that I just read actually a month ago, and as I was reading it, I immediately could see that it was going to go on to my top 5. or at least top 10. But where I place it now, like as I was reading it, I could recognize the genius of it right away, and it just blew me away as I was reading it. Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy. This is the Constance Garnett translation, which was very good. I enjoyed it a lot. But this is it's another big book, so there's a lot in here. Um, and it wasn't what I was expecting at all. I was expecting a love story, which is partly Anna Karenina, but it's so much more than that. It's about the price of your actions, and how love, if you are in, if you aren't careful with love, how the consequences can be severe. So it follows kind of three families, three relationships. It starts off with oh, I'm forgetting his name now. Oblonsky, this man named Oblonsky, and his wife, and how they're having marital issues, but they've been married for a while. And then he has a friend named Levin, who's in love with this girl named Kitty, who is Oblonsky's wife's sister. I know it's confusing. I had to think a lot when I was reading it as well about how the dynamic is related to each other there. And then there's, of course, Anna Karenina, who is Oblonsky's Oblonsky's sister, and she's married to a guy who then she has an affair with this other guy named Vronsky. And so you have these three relationships, and the story follows all three, mainly Levin and his pursuit of Kitty, and then Anna and the fallout between her and her husband with her affair. And I think, it's interesting following all these people in different stages of their relationships. So you've got the married couple in Oblonsky and his wife, who are kind of in an unhappy marriage. You've got Levin, who is pursuing a girl and is starting a relationship, or at least trying to. And then you have a failed relationship, or a crumbling one, in Anna Karenina and her husband. So I thought it was very good. Like I said, I'm not going into it because I don't want to give spoilers, but how their arcs progress over the story, specifically Levin's. Levin was my favorite character, and the way he progressed throughout the story, I thought it was amazing. So it was a really great book, and I know I rambled kind of incoherently about that, but I highly recommend reading that. I might do a video on it at some point with spoilers, so that I can talk more about why I love the book. Okay, number 2. This is an American classic. Amazing book again, of course. That's why it's on here. And I'm talking about East of Eden by John Steinbeck. So, this book is an intergenerational or multi-generational tale following two families. One is the Trask family. So it starts with Adam Trask and his life with his brother and his father. And then it progresses on to when he meets his wife, and he has kids, and then it follows them and their relationships. And then it follows this other family called the Hamilton family. And they all kind of live in the Salinas Valley in California, which is actually where John Steinbeck himself was from. And a lot of his novels take place there. But yeah, it's a multi-generational tale. It takes place over many years, and it kind of mimics the story of Cain and Abel in the Bible, which is why it's called East of Eden. And so, again, amazing book. John Steinbeck really knows how to write interesting people. I really love the way he characterizes people. And this book was amazing. I was so invested in the characters and kind of the picture he painted of small town California. And it's definitely worth the read. There's lots of interesting philosophy and depth to this novel if you go under the surface and think about it a lot. So yeah, it's an enjoyable read and definitely one that I'm going to reread, along with Anna Karenina as well. Those two books are books that probably I would reread many times, just to gauge the depth, the true depth of them. Okay, so that leaves the last book in my list and my favorite book of all time as it currently stands. This is an American novel, and it is a Western, and I mentioned it before in the last video. I'm talking about Lonesome Dove. So this was written in 1985. This copy is 3-in-1 copy, so Lonesome Dove is one of the books in here, by Larry McMurtry. Now, I'm not a guy who reads a lot of Westerns. Actually, Lonesome Dove is the only Western book I've ever read, and it blew me away. I heard a lot of great things about it. Actually, other booktubers, their recommendations is what prompted me to read it. And when I saw this copy in the library, they were doing a giveaway. I saw it in the library and picked it up, and yeah, I read it a year ago now, and the characters, everything about it still sticks with me. Like, I think about that book probably every week, at least once. And the basic premise of it is that there are a group of, well, there's two retired rangers who live in this small town in Texas near the border, called Lonesome Dove. And one of them, Woodrow Call, he gets an idea that he wants to start a ranch in Montana. And so the premise of the novel is they recruit a bunch of people and they drive a bunch of cattle up from Texas, which Lonesome Dove is basically Laredo, I'm pretty sure, around that area at least, and do a cattle drive all the way up to Montana to start a ranch in the plains of Montana. And it's like a 900-page book and about the journeys of these characters, and it's amazing. Like, these characters are amazing. The trials they go through. There's other characters too who come from Arkansas. And yeah, there's just a big cast of characters, and they're all like really well drawn by McMurtry. And they, I've never read characters that were so alive on the page as in this book. And that's what makes it number one for me, is that I cared a lot about the characters in this book, especially Augustus, Gus McCrae, one of the two rangers. He was a great character. So many great characters. I mean, like, this book was a masterclass on writing characters. And I'm definitely going to reread it again soon, I think. The interesting thing is it's written in omniscient perspective, so you jump between characters' heads based on the paragraph. So one paragraph you're in Gus's head, and the other you're in Woodrow Call's head. So it's interesting. It's not written in limited prose like a lot of books are. But yeah, the story is wide ranging, just all sorts of characters that you can resonate with, and even though some of them do terrible things, they are sympathetic. And yeah, it's just great book, and definitely my favorite of all time. It was an easy number one for me, and I hope to read other books that challenge that, and I'm sure I will. But as of right now, Lonesome Dove is my favorite book of all time. And so that's my list. Let me know what you guys think about it. If any of these are your favorites too, let me know. And yeah, like I said, I'm ready to have new books become my favorite, and challenge the top spot here. So that's all from me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.